After battling injuries to multiple star players last season, the San Francisco 49ers are hoping that 2026 can be their year to go all in and compete for a Super Bowl title. So let's bolster this 49ers roster even further with a 7-round mock draft, or in the 49ers case, a 4-round mock draft, in today's episode of Best Available. Thank you for watching today's episode. Make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube and follow us on socials at Best Available YT. If you're looking for another way to support the channel and you're enjoying this mock draft series, consider becoming a member. You'll get full access to my big board, which is constantly being updated with all of my draft notes. And if you're looking for an in-depth look at some of those guys in video format, I just dropped my top 100 players. I highly encourage you to check that video out from last Friday. But let's dive into this 49ers mock draft along with their team needs. We're going to really focus on pro-ready players as much as we can in this mock draft because, yes, this is an aging roster. I'm not sure which players are going to depart. I know there's a lot of buzz around Trent Williams. I just can't see them moving on from a franchise left tackle with the way this roster is built. It is an older roster, and with this mock draft, I want to focus on providing them with players that can play right away because this is, when healthy, one of the best rosters in the National Football League and can continue to compete at a high level. I think focusing more on that and not as many developmental options is a great way for us to try and compete for that Super Bowl. So let's go ahead and dive into that. In the first round, there's a couple of edge options here I'm toying with that are available, but I really love TJ Parker. And allow me, before we dive into his traits, to go on a rant about Clemson, because TJ Parker and Peter Woods have really got knocked in this pre-draft process because of a lack of production in 2025 compared to 2024. And to me personally, I'm really not putting that much stock in it. I think when the offense is struggling as much as Clemson's did last year, it does hurt the defense's ability to generate more production because, you're not getting all these opportunities as a pass rusher. You're having to be more, sound because, another team is just trying to play the run more heavily. It's a very frustrating situation, I imagine, to be in for these two prospects who are incredibly, incredibly talented players, just not getting the love they deserve. But Parker, in my eyes, is without question a first-round pick. And I think he fits really well with what the 49ers need from a pass rusher, opposite of Nick Bosa in pass situations, and someone that can probably, be still on the field with Mykel Williams on third downs if you want to kick him inside. But Parker's calling card is as a true power rusher. He's got a really good bull rush. He's got excellent power, and he has some of the best hand usage of any edge I've scouted the last couple of years. I think it is outstanding to disengage from blockers, whether it is as a pass rusher or a run stopper. He is also a pretty damn good edge setter, and I know that, we still want to see what Mykel Williams can do as an earlier pick last year, but I still really like what we could potentially get out of Parker as a potential 3-down player, or at the very least as a pass rusher taking Mykel off the field, because he's proven that he is legit as a power rusher. That being said, I can understand some of the criticisms. This won't be everyone's favorite pick. I know he's not the twitchiest or bendiest. He's not a true speed rusher. But when I think about, the lack of production in 2025, part of that was because a lot of attention was on him. That's not the case when he's playing opposite of Bosa. And I think having one of these guys that can collapse the pocket, force some pressure on the opposite side of Bosa to open things up for him. I just think this is kind of a match made in heaven. I really like the skill set on run and passing situations. I'm much higher on Parker than most. He is my edge 4. I just think this is a rock solid pick and one that could immediately impact for San Francisco's defense. In the second round at 58th overall, the 49ers are getting one of my favorite prospects in this entire draft, and that is AJ Haulcy out of LSU, someone I've been a fan of for a while. I know LSU isn't like Clemson, didn't have the year they were hoping for, but man, that secondary with Mansour, Delane, and Haulcy, pretty terrifying. Haulcy is built like a dream box safety in my eyes. Haulcy came in at the combine at 6 foot and 215 pounds. I think he played at LSU a little above 220. And when you watch his tape, I just think when you're thinking of a box safety, you want that enforcer in the middle of the field, right? And Haulcy brings that, man. He is patently unafraid of making contact. He brings that size in through his pads. He doesn't stop his feet at contact. So he can be a real eraser in run support and, attacking the catch point in the middle of the field. But it's also that trigger and explosiveness downhill with really good eyes. He's one of those middle of the field defenders, when he triggers, he's usually triggering before that ball's even out of the quarterback's hands because he's just reading route combinations, he's reading the quarterback's eyes, and he knows where that ball's going. So when you combine those instincts and downhill trigger along with that toughness and size, he is just a dream box safety. And when you think about all of the pieces already on this 49ers defense and adding another edge rusher in TJ Parker, quarterbacks are going to try and get that ball out quickly. And when you can allow that and know that it's unlikely Halsey is going to be tested deep that often in the role that he would likely play, I just think he's such an eraser in the middle of the defense. And I think it's a huge upgrade. I really loved Malik Mustafa coming out of Wake Forest, but I think him and Jair Brown, I think that Halsey brings a different kind of play style and body type to the safety room where I think maybe we can bolster that a little bit more, really improve the secondary, even put Halsey in a couple of different spots, and Mustafa. Just give the safety room some versatility. I'm a huge fan of this move. It would be pretty terrifying for the 49ers. I kept thinking about a Trent Williams successor at some point early in this mock draft, and it just didn't happen. But that doesn't mean we can't address the offensive line at all. And with the first of 4 fourth-round picks here, I'm going to go with Trey Zune out of Texas A&M. Really fascinating time with the Aggies this past season. They had a lot of NFL caliber players on that offensive line. Zune spent time as both left tackle and center for the Aggies. And honestly, primarily, I think his role is going to be on the inside. He's just a little sawed off lengthwise, and I think that really hurts him in pass protection as a true tackle. But for the 49ers, this means Zoo could potentially come in and compete at any of the 3 interior roles for the 49ers, which I really like. He's one of these guys that has a really good anchor with a wide base so that when bull rushes come his way, he's just so dense in the lower body with that lower body strength that he can really stonewall defenders trying to bull rush through him. That lower body strength also shows up in the run when he's just trying to move bodies, and his competitive edge, he's blocking you through the whistle, and I really appreciate that. When you're that dense and maybe not the most fluid athlete, you got to win with effort, and boy, does he. I think there's some technique stuff we can still work on. The pad level is always a thing I get frustrated with younger offensive linemen. That shows up a bit on his tape, and I think that leads to some balance issues with him. I think when he gets more comfortable in his body, gets coached up the right way, the way that he's built and the power that he brings, this is a potential starting guard, maybe a center at the NFL level. I'll be really curious to see what his role is at the NFL level. But he is a really fun evaluation. Came away really surprised with him. With all the Texas A&M guys I watched, Zune might have been my favorite. I just feel pretty solid that he will eventually develop into an average starter, and that could be sooner than later. Maybe there is a chance that he competes right away for a starting job. I really love adding size to the cornerback room, and I'm sure the 49ers would appreciate this. But give me Julian Neal with the next 4th-round pick out of Arkansas. This is a guy I was a little concerned how he's going to run at the combine, and as soon as I saw that number of a 4.49 at the combine, I really calmed down because the rest of his boxes had already been checked for me. I'm a bit higher on Neal than most. Mostly because I love his effort in run support. This is a guy that will throw his face into a block, into a ball carrier. He's a pretty reliable open field tackler. But then you add on that length and size at 6'2", 203 pounds, 32 3/4 inch arms. He's one of those players I just really trust. Press might need a little bit of work because his hips are a little clunky, but when he can jab and disrupt, and within that 5 yards, just like he's so disruptive because of that size. And then he has that length to just blanket receivers when targeted deep. That combination of being able to track the ball deep, use his size to disrupt, be really effective in run support. I think this is a guy that could pretty quickly become a starting caliber corner in the NFL in my eyes. And I just think that kind of size at corner is a rare trait. You can put him on some bigger bodies that maybe aren't as fluid. He can be a real eraser on a defense and someone I think could play right away. With the next pick, let's get some Mike Evans insurance, and I'm really excited about this Mike Evans fit in San Francisco. I just think he fits exactly what the 49ers were missing at wide receiver. He's going to be a great, great option for them. But in the event that he has some injury issues pop up, which has happened more lately, not that he's really been an injury. I think there's a perception that he's injury prone, which I don't think is totally fair. I actually think he's a pretty damn solid receiver as far as staying healthy, and he's a likely Hall of Famer. But if for some reason he goes down, I want another big-bodied option on this defense. Jacoby Landman out of USC, 6'4", 200 pounds. You could argue maybe I'd want to see him be a little more physical against press, for a guy that size, be more effective as a blocker. But the way he moves and tracks the ball deep and his catch radius is absurd, and some of the craziest catches you'll see. The one in the end zone where he just one hands it with a guy draped all over him. He's got some special traits at that size, and a bit more fluid of a mover than I'm expecting. I don't think he's the most nuanced route runner, but he's got enough footwork stuff that I think the fluidity is there. But when you just need like that big body option, trust if you throw a 50-50 ball, it's more likely than not he's going to come away with it, and he's got enough speed for me. I think this is a nice, rock solid option of maybe he can play with Evans as he gets more acclimated, but I don't think there's a better mentor for a guy like this than Mike Evans. And if something happens with, Evans gets hurt or dinged for a couple weeks, would love to see Lane out there, filling a similar type of role, getting acclimated. This is a fun long-term weapon for the 49ers in a mock where we're trying to focus on immediate contributors. Wrapping this one up with the 139th overall pick. I really want to see another back behind Christian McCaffrey. I know Isaac Guerrero flashed, but it seems like he's kind of a special teamer at this point. I just want someone I can really trust as a change of pace back for McCaffrey. And Katron Allen is that for me. I'm not saying change of pace as far as electric explosiveness, but if I want kind of a lumbering power back that can just carry the pile forward, Allen checks that box in a big way for me. I think what I like about him most is he has this really nice blend of, really good contact balance, keeps his feet churning through contact to move that pile forward, but also that patience, letting blocks develop, which I really appreciate for a guy with that kind of play style. He may not be the home run hitter. He does lack like top end explosiveness, things like that. But when I have a back that I just want to wear down the defense and then get McCaffrey back out there to generate the chunk plays, Allen checks those boxes for me. And another thing I just really, really appreciate from him is his ball security. With 429 carries over the last 2 seasons, just 2 fumbles throughout the year. I want a backup running back that's going to take care of the football, move the pile forward, wear down defenses, and just let the rest of the offense cook. Allen feels like kind of what this 49ers offense is missing behind McCaffrey. I'd be a huge fan of this pick. And that'll do it for the mock draft today. Let me know what you think in the comments of this. Tried to make sure that for a team that's trying to compete right away, and is honestly really talented on both sides of the ball, wanted to still find some potential immediate contributors right away on both sides of the football. So let me know in the comments what you think about this. We'll be back tomorrow or Tuesday for draft talk, talking about the running back class as a whole. So you hear some more about Katron Allen, some of the other running back options for 49ers fans curious about a potential McCaffrey backup. And then we'll do some other stuff, including my all underrated team for this year's draft. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. We'll see you later. Make sure you subscribe if you made it all the way to the end. Take care.